any of the divisions you find. How they do it is up to you and your supervisor. We have sent people up to Philly, and we have Philly send people down to Carderock. It's easier sort of early on in your career to do the moves, because once you settle, it's harder to be that flexible on where you live.
I had a question for Tim. Do you guys actually do the installation of these systems on the boats or ships, or is it more getting them ready to be installed?
Actually, what we'll do is we will, in most cases, we will develop and test the prototype, and we may do the first install and test, and if it's a piece of machinery that is going to be, say, on DDG 51, for instance, and we have the test site, we'll put it on the land-based test site first, then we'll put it on a ship and test it, and then once it passes, we actually have a group that manages all the ship machine. It's called MACAL, and all the machinery alterations on board the ship. But we manage all those after that. We don't necessarily do them all, because there's too many ships. We don't have that kind of workforce. We don't do production work, but we'll manage it and put the contract out to somebody, a company, to install 3,000 of them. We'll do the prototype, first install, test, check out, and then we will manage all the other installations. We won't actually do them all, but we'll have people there.
Right. I don't think Carderock doesn't do production level anything. It's usually up through technical demonstrators or the first prototypes, and then it gets turned over to it's how the Navy's organized. There is the operational part of the Navy. Once it's turned over to them, it's really up to them.
I actually had a second question. I heard that there was like a green energy movement based in Philly. Could you tell me more about that?
Well, it's not just based in Philly. The Navy actually has a green initiative, and I don't know all the intricacies of it. Like the Navy, the Nav Air, they've already used biofuels in jets. So now the Navy wants, they're looking at, biofuels, algae-based fuels. Saving energy is a big deal. May not actually save it. It might save it here so it can be used somewhere else. So that's one of the things. I think I popped through it real quick, but hybrid electric drive is being looked at on ships. It's going to be installed on ships. And we're actually testing, I don't know how much of this I can talk about, but some of it was tested in a contractor facility, and all the equipment is coming to Philadelphia, and it's going to begin to be installed next month. So we're actually looking at hybrid electric drive systems. I mean, you can look up some of that stuff on the, you can see the hybrid electric on, Google me. But so there is a lot of energy-related things going on, and hybrid electric drive in particular is something that, if they can save fuel, that's a good thing. I mean, it saves money. Some of it is make things more efficient because we have to use power. We can only generate so much power, and we have to use it somewhere. And we have new weapon systems, new radars, things that use more power. So if we don't need to use it over here, we can use it over here without throwing another generator on. That's a good thing. So there's a couple aspects.
I was just wondering, what's a good resource or the best resource to actually look for careers beyond the internships?
Typically what you see is most of the internships, most of the managers at Carderock, both in Philly and Westman, pretty much across the Navy, use internships as a chance to try out people more than anything. If you come, we have, high school interns that have basically come when they're 16 or 17 and worked 2 or 3 years and gone to college and come back, or come back under the interns, and they've been hired every summer, every whatever, and they come in and that's what you're seeing. so certainly the internships would give you a taste of what working at Carderock at a naval lab would be like. They're not that different between Newark and Dahlgren in general. As a way for you to kind of try it out, and it is what you are being, you are being auditioned by everybody there. So same with the acquisition interns as they rotate through. Same with all the SCDP people. We don't. It's not like we're stealing people from Philly and Philly's stealing people from us. That's not what's that happens. But it is we basically, once again, we want you to be happy. If you go work for Tim and you go there and go, I can't, my family's in DC, I'd like to move. Tim's calling me up and going, hey, we got this really good guy. Yeah. He wants to come to whatever. We're gonna, or even if you say I want to go to, somewhere else because you have a reason, we're gonna try to. We work for the Navy. We want you to find a place that you're gonna be happy and useful. We're not going to say no. Tim hired you and you're going to work in Philly, or not at all. Right. As far as looking for opportunities and trying to get information about it, I think what we would tell you is I had no idea Carderock existed growing up. I grew up in Indiana. At some point, maybe when you're in school, you kind of see some papers come out because of the tow tank work and the whatever, but not. You're not really paying that much attention to it.
And that even depends. I went to school here, and I walked by the tow tank, and I'm like, what are they doing there? I had no idea.
It's like, yeah, you can go to school here, and you don't know that the water tunnel's across the street. Right. So yeah. It is a, how would you know it's here? And what I'm saying is for both of us and almost everybody I know at Carderock, I won't say that. There's a few people that in hydro that they grew up and they raced sailboats and they wanted to test sailboats and they knew Carderock existed, and their whole life they wanted to go to Carderock, but that they're rare. Typically people show up at Carderock by some accident of anything and of hiring, but here's the weird thing about Carderock. People spend 40 years, their entire career at Carderock. I think I will spend my entire career working at Carderock from the time I got out of in graduate school as a first job through when I retire. And you see that consistently at Carderock. So you sit there and go, what kind of place hires people at 22 years of age and they're 72 when they retire, and they had no inclination to try to find another job, or they had, if they were offered, they're happy. And it is one of the things where you can progress and do different things and be challenged every day, and it is one of the things that it's easy to get up every morning and go to work and be challenged. You do get to work on what you want to work on. Nobody's telling you, this is what you got to do today. And how you find that, I don't think you do. You can talk to a lot of different people, but I think what it really is, you go there and you make your career there. You find out how you can be effective at Carderock, and Carderock lets you. It's really the captain and the technical director, it's department heads, it's division heads, and it's branch heads and workers, and that's it. So you can talk to branch head, he'll be working right alongside you. They're still doing technical work. I'm still doing technical work as a, director of operations for 50.
What they do is they'll set an end goal. The research goals are a little further out, in service is a little closer, but how you get there is kind of up to you. And what I always tell people when I was in the traditional recruiting, position is, the really neat thing about these jobs is you have many different, almost mini careers throughout your career, because you're getting involved in all kinds of different things without ever leaving. You never leave the organization. So you're able to do a very wide variety of things. They may all have a common thread, as I said, but you can do lots of different things. And the other thing is, you get a lot of responsibility pretty early in your career. Whether it's a major piece of a project or you get that, and I think that's more so than private industry. So, I don't know if Tom.
Yeah,
you would agree with that?
No, I agree. I think that if you look at the new program spinning up, you see, mainly because of part of the demographics of NAVC right now, you see 25-year-olds that are managing fairly major programs and making programmatic decisions on full-on acquisition programs. We're not a very deep organization. It's not like that there's there's multiple Tims. There's not multiple guys. You know, it's 17 people doing that, and that's spread over probably, you know, new hires through, and that's what you see. You don't see that many. It's the if you look out at the Navy and look at all the propeller designs out on the fleet, and all of the propellers are either ARL designs or Carderock designs, and you know, Carderock's got, you know, a propulsor design group of a dozen people, but you'd say how many people are actually responsible for those, you know, 300 ships or whatever, plus minus. It's a handful. And ARL, it's the same way. It's a 20-year apprenticeship to be given that responsibility, but it's not a very deep organization. So you could be, you know, hired by Carderock and, you know, working on the Ohio replacement propeller next year, working with the guy who's worked there 30 years and who's designed the last, you know, 5 submarine propellers. But you'll be given that responsibility. He's gonna let you do it. I mean, it's there's not that many. You know, it's a worry. I mean, there's lots of single point of failures at Carderock, both in Philadelphia and West Bethesda. There's no question. But people step up, so you will be given that responsibility. So as far as careers, I tell people all the time, you just go to Carderock, and if you get hired by 50 or 90 or 70, you don't like it, go talk to somebody in one of the other departments. There's 3,000 unique jobs at Carderock, and I don't think, you know, was it the NEED conference, which is the Navy Education and Navy Engineering Education Conference and whatever, and I was with the technical director, and I said he had to give sort of, you know, how he became technical director, and he went to the Naval Academy, and he, you know, we were talking. I said, well, at least you've done something. I go, I've only ever had one job, and it's the Carderock job. And he goes, but you've had like a dozen jobs in the time you started at Carderock 25 years ago. I don't look at it that. I have one job. There's still parts of my job I do now that I was doing 25 years ago, because that's the part I still wanted to do, and I still carry with it. But nobody's told me, well, you can't do that anymore. That's the job for a 22-year-old. You know?
Now, I think maybe your question is, you know, we put up, you know, these are different internship programs and how you can get hired, you know, for the summers. There's also, you know, there's a direct hire aspect where we have, and we're not doing that, you know, this evening, but you know what they'll do is they'll go through all the departments and say, hey, look, we need, you know, 2 mechanical engineers in this section, 3 of these, 4 of them, 6 of those, and they'll come up with a whole plan, and then they're going to come and recruit at schools. Now, what I found out was Carderock Division is actually not going to be at the career fair specifically. There's NAVC will be there. All the warfare centers will be there. So if you go there and drop a resume off and say you want it to go to Carderock, we'll get it. But what I also found out was Carderock Division will be recruiting here at Penn State October 26th and 27th. I think 27th will be the interviews. So something will be posted through the Career Center. There'll be a job posting online where you submit your resume, and then the recruiters will scan the resumes and interview folks. So they're going to do an on-site interviews on the 27th of October. I talked to Patty yesterday, so.
Yeah, she'd tell you not to take resumes.
Yeah, but she also told me we weren't going to be at the career fair, and we were going to be here doing interviews on the 27th. There'll be an info session the evening of the 26th.
Yeah, so I mean, if the question was how do you go about getting a job, go to the career fair, turn in your resume, tell them you want to go to Carderock, tell them specifically West Bethesda or Philadelphia, or though, you know, we shouldn't be taking resumes. I will tell you, if you guys send me a resume and you tell me you don't have to be in Hydro, you can send it to Beth, she'll get it to me. We'll find the right division or department to have somebody take a look at it. It is one of the things that, and it is a dirty little secret, because you'll go to the NAVC career fair and they're gonna take all the ones from here and they're gonna take all the ones from every place they show up, and we're gonna get an Excel spreadsheet that references a PDF of a resume, and it's gonna have 5,000 names on it, and we just, you know, I have been a hiring manager. I can still hire now. I don't spend that much time looking through a giant list. What happens is if somebody sends me a resume, I tend to take a quick look at it. I'll also give the dirty little secret, and it's what the career fairs will tell you, you know, counselors here will tell you. If you have a typo or you have spelling mistakes in your letter, your cover letters or on your resume, we toss them. I mean, it's just one of those things that you got 10 seconds to make an impression that makes me want to do. It doesn't mean, it means I won't hire you, and it doesn't mean if you send me your resume and it's got mistakes and it says, but you're interested in something else, I'll still forward it on to the other departments. It's just that we literally get hundreds of resumes through the departments, and we tend to evaluate them pretty quickly. So you need to get a point across. Make it. Let us know what you want to do, and we'll, you know. But even so, we'll try to help. And you can. And it's the same thing. If you tell me that you're really not interested in the things Carderock does, but let's say you are interested in weapons or explosives, etc. We'll send them over to Dahlgren. We'll,
Right.
you know, we do know who
Right.
are equivalent people at the different warfare centers. We'll send them to Newark. We'll send them to Dahlgren.
And like I said, for the career fair that's coming up next week,
Yeah.
NAVC corporate, which all the warfare everybody's under, Carderock division just won't have a rep there, but Dahlgren will be there. The shipyards will be there. Somebody you can talk to. Panama City's going to be there. Crane, I think, is going to be there. So, you know, and so if you go to the career fair, there's going to be a lot of warfare center people there and shipyard people there. And there's actually going to be probably a NAVC or NAVC logistics center, it'll say, for the NAVC acquisition development program. There'll be a booth there. So the career fair, if you're interested in some of the things that we've talked about tonight, it's probably not a bad thing to wander through.
But, you know, get online, look at the different labs, look at the different,
Right.
see what they do. They all have their niche areas. There's a lot of overlap, but if you want to do weapons or you want to do underwater UUVs, or you got to find them. Crane does a lot of chemical stuff. It is one of the things that always, when you're interviewing and you kind of find out that people have no idea what Carderock does or what Bethesda does, and you're kind of like, well, then why do you really want a job? I mean, we all want a job, but you kind of have to show that you want a job at Philadelphia or West Bethesda, and you know what we do.
But see, they'll know that answer because we've been here.
Well, where they might go, I don't want a job at West Bethesda, or I don't want a job in Philadelphia. You do need to show interest. It is going to be fairly competitive. It has been in the past few years because of the way the economy is, no question. And you know, how long we'll be hiring, it remains to be seen. You know, we are a government facility. We are tied to the budget. So is that sort of what you wanted, and
Yeah.
more so?
Good.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for your attention. Thanks for your questions.